Hello, everyone. I am your host, Randi-lee. Today, we're talking to Crystal Jordan, and this is a topic near and dear to my heart. And you will find out, well, I mean, all the topics are, but you'll find out why this one's a little bit more special. Welcome, Crystal. So excited to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about who you are.
So, hey, everybody. My name is Crystal Jordan, and I'm a proud autism advocate. I'm a proud mom of an awesome 4-year-old who's on the spectrum. His name is Zachariah. And my son pretty much inspired me to start a whole new business about advocating for my kids and advocating for the Black, brown community, because I feel that I didn't know anything about autism. I didn't know anything about special needs. I went in head first, and I feel that me becoming an advocate has been the best thing because I have learned so much. Before I even called myself an advocate, I learned so much. I learned about resources. And I created the first ever autism awareness coloring book for the Black, brown community. Thank you. And pretty much it features a Black boy on here.
That is so pretty.
Thank you so much. I think my artist did a phenomenal job because my son loves to swing because he's a sensory seeker, and him being a sensory seeker, it was the perfect first project to announce, and it's been doing good. And I'm super happy to be here on your platform, and thank you for even wanting to interview me. So I appreciate it.
Well, as people who know who I am, they know that autism has a special place in my heart because my baby has autism as well. Although I say baby just because, your kids are always your babies, but it's 14 now. So not really a baby anymore.
But it's okay. He's still on the spectrum and he's still awesome. Like, I don't know if you can realize, since my son been diagnosed, I don't spell awesome with the W. I spell it with the U.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. I say awesome. And I feel that a lot of people don't know what autism is. So the myth that I hate when people ask me is, it doesn't look like he has autism.
Yes.
And I say, what does autism look like? Because for me, autism is one word, 1 million different stories. My story is different. Your story is different. But autism don't have a look. I think a lot of people are miseducated and they think autism is Down syndrome. And it's not. And it's just very interesting when people ask me questions and I'm like, oh, you didn't know that? And I love educating people on what autism is or the numbers or the facts. You have a boy?
Yeah. So I have a transgender boy. So I'm learning, and that's all it is about, is I'm learning. So actually, for those that have read my book where I wrote about raising my kid with autism, it all says she and daughter because I didn't go back and edit it since he came out as being transgender. And now I say he and stuff and I confuse people, but that's all right. They'll learn.
And you know what's crazy? Boys are diagnosed 4 times more than girls. Girls are diagnosed later. And it's because I don't understand why that is, but boys are diagnosed more often than girls.
Oh, well, I'll tell you from our experience what happened, because even though he's a boy, he was born a girl. So a lot of getting the diagnosis was because he wasn't out as a boy yet until about 2 years ago. And so we got diagnosed at 8. So when he was still going through being recognized as a female. So what I've learned from doing all that research, like you said, it's all about research and learning things, is that for girls, they don't stim the same way as boys. So a lot of times you see the rocking or whatever in boys. Girls don't stim the same way, and girls mask better. So they learn to look at what is going in the social and just sort of pretend that they're doing the same thing by just what they see. So they don't stick out as much because they're just attempting more to fit in. I might not be describing it quite right.
I agree with you 100%. Like, I knew my son had autism because it's like right now he's literally stemming as I'm talking to you. He's he's vocally stemming.
Okay.
It's different types of stemming.
Yeah.
I learned that from somebody's on the spectrum. I have an adult friend who's now on the spectrum named Jessica Jenkins, and she's been taking time to teach me things that I never even knew. And I said, that is, and she said, he's stemming right now. I was on the phone with her for 2 hours and I said, what? She said, is he jumping up and down? I said, yeah. She said, hey, that's stemming. I said, thank you.
Yeah.
I,
My kid just does this with the fingers all the time.
the fidgeting.
Yeah. But it doesn't necessarily have to have anything in the hands, just like
My son does that too, but he has a lot of stimming, but he's a sensory seeker. I know people like, what's a sensory seeker? I'm trying to find the best way to explain what that is. Like my son, Century, like him jumping up and down. That's I take him to a trampoline park. I take him to the park to be on the swing because he loves Century. So I try to find things that would soothe him. I try to think of the best way to explain sensory seeking.
yeah.
I have to figure out a good way to
Yeah.
explain
So
that.
seeking out things that
Calm him down.
that calm him down, but it's
Yes.
an enhanced sensory thing.
Right.
Right? Like jumping up and down, like you said, that's a sense of going up and down or whatever. Whereas sensory avoidance, they would avoid doing those things.
Right. He doesn't avoid sensory. He goes head for it first. I'm trying to think. It's something you said that just jogged my memory. But yes, girls mask better than boys. Boys don't mask really well, in my opinion. Like
No.
my son, I don't know. He doesn't mask well at all. And when you meet him, he moves a lot, or you probably think he have ADHD, which he's too young to be diagnosed for that because he's 4.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, he doesn't have ADHD. He just have autism. But do you want to learn about autism? Why he doesn't talk? He's non-vocal. What is non-vocal?
Yeah.
Non-vocal is when your child, well, my son. Okay, so in the industry, you're gonna hear the term the most is non-verbal.
Yeah.
I no longer use the term nonverbal anymore because my son is not nonverbal. My son is nonvocal. And why is he nonvocal? Because he communicates he communicate with pets. He communicates with sign language. He just does not communicate with his vocals. So nonverbal is when you communicate through your
I
actions.
love it.
Right.
I love
Thank
that
you so
non-vocal
much.
instead. I'm gonna start using that. My son is very vocal. Doesn't You don't always understand what it is he's trying to say, but he talks nonstop.
Oh,
Sometimes I have to just be like, okay, babe, I have to go to the bathroom. I've been listening to you talk for 20 minutes straight. I gotta go. Because it's like he doesn't even take a breath sometimes. It's just da 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 da.
I can't wait for the moments. I can't wait.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's the reason I use the term nonvocal. I don't use the
that's great.
term nonverbal.
Yeah,
A
I
lot
love that.
of interviews be like, I never heard that term before. I said, well, this is what happened. I'm on Clubhouse, and I'm in a lot of autism rooms, and it was this lady named Joy Johnson. She has autism. She's an adult and she's an ABA therapist. Another mom came on there and said, my daughter's non-vocal. And I was like, I had said, excuse me, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So they explained it, but I don't think they explained it to the way I understood it. So
Mhm.
I researched the terms non-vocal and non-verbal. So then my son ABA therapist, because I'm pro ABA.
Mhm.
I know it's a big controversy in that, but I'm pro ABA. Um,
I'm pro whatever works for your kid.
I am too. So I went to my therapist, my son therapist, and I asked her. She said, "Where you learn the term non-vocal? Because we use this in the field. We don't use this with parents because it confuses parents." So
Yeah.
the way I just explained it to you, she said that actually is correct, and she gave me the more in-depth definition.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh no, I'm not even about to ever do interviews and go that in depth because
Yeah.
I'm gonna confuse people." But that's why I said my son is non-vocal. I learned that from adult on the spectrum who is an ABA therapist, and I came to my ABA therapist and I talked to her about it, and
I
that's the
love
reason.
it.
But in my children books and all my books, you're gonna see the term non-verbal because that's the term that is used because 40% of the autism community is diagnosed with is that there is nonverbal.
Yeah.
So you never see non-vocal in books or anything. So I will put the definition in there because I will use it a lot in my interviews, but I won't like me writing
Yeah.
my books. I won't say that the child is non-vocal. I will say non-verbal because I
Yeah.
feel like I personally would confuse people with that term.
Yeah. I think that's such a good point, and I think we need to spread awareness of that because I used to be an employment counselor before I had to quit my full-time job to be home more with my son. And I would teach, like interview skills and what is your body doing? Well, your body is doing your nonverbal cues, right? And then
Mhm.
you start hearing about it nonverbal in the autism community, and it means that they're not talking with words. But I'm teaching nonverbal as body language. So I love that non-vocal instead because it makes that distinct difference.
Yes, and a lot of people, it's so crazy, don't even know that term until they meet me. Like I met this parent, and I was not trying to be rude to her. Her son was doing something. She said he's nonverbal. I said no, baby, your child is nonvocal because your child just communicated to you, and he just didn't use his vocals. She looked at me, and I looked at her because we go to the same speech therapist, and I looked at her again, and then she said it again. Now she don't talk to me, but I just told her, I said, your child is non-vocal. And I wasn't being rude to her. I was, because her son was communicating. He just
Yeah.
not vocal. And like he's using signs. If he using pets or a communication device, your child is non-vocal, not non-verbal. If your child communicates through actions by pointing to something, bringing you to something, that is non-verbal because that's through actions. So
Yeah.
if your child is not doing that, your child is non-vocal. And I know in the industry we don't, they don't use that term, and I get
Yeah.
it. I wasn't trying to correct her. I was just saying your child is actually non-vocal, and this is the definition behind it. Some parents can take it, some parents can't. So,
Yeah. It really depends on how far along they are in their journey, I think, because
oh, our child's the same age. Both our kids are 4, so not
yeah.
that far along.
Yeah. So then it could be hard for her to take, right?
Or to transition to a new term.
Yes, that's a whole other story as well. Trying to just because there's so many terms, ABA and IBA and just, lots of different
It's a
things.
lot of terms, and
It is.
I'm happy you said that. That's why in my if anybody ever buy any of the books I ever sell, you guys, I have a glossary in them, and I
Oh,
even
nice.
yes, like I'm see, I'm gonna try to show you. Hold on.
Yeah, yeah. That is such a great idea.
It have the glossary.
Oh, yeah.
And then it even talks about, oh, I'm sorry. It even talks about what is autism as well. I have a whole page where it talks about what is autism. I break it down. I talk about the numbers and the facts. Like 1 out of 50, according to the CDC, one out of 54 kids are diagnosed with autism in the United States of America. So I break that down too, because my one thing about me is, yes, this is my full time thing, but my goal is to educate people. So when you buy the coloring book, it's actually an educational tool for you can understand what autism is. It can be a support gift for somebody that you want to tell them they in denial, but you don't want to say it. And you say,
Yeah.
I bought you this, and I think this is a great tool for you. It even have affirmations. I'm very big on affirmations, and I feel
Me
that
too.
I saw. Um, I feel that our kids need affirmation. So in there, I put love doesn't need words because I know my son loves me. He doesn't have to tell me. And the world need more kindness because I feel that what we messed up as neurotypical people is we people feel that we have to accept like we have to accept them, try to change people who have autism. Now, how about we as neurotypical people, we accept them and for who they are, and we accept kindness. The world need more kindness.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see somebody having a breakdown in the store. Maybe they're having a meltdown. Maybe it's a sensory overload. Maybe you just need to say, hey, do you need help with anything? Maybe you should help that mom out instead of saying, oh, your child is bad. I don't take my son to the Beats by store because he has his I don't know if it's a sensory overload. I cannot figure it out. But I personally decide it's too much for me to take him to the beauty supply store with me.
Yeah.
And another parent may say it's the grocery store. At one point I couldn't take my son to the public bathroom. So
Yeah.
my thing is when I created this book, this coloring book in my books, I wanted to bring affirmations into the autism community and the autism community because I know that some the words have changed. So my son, he's autistic, and I want to make sure that I share the light on that. So
That.
learning terms and educating us each other is important. If it's something I don't know and you teach me something, okay, I love that. And I feel that it's all about creating a village. And I meet so many parents on in denial. It's very interesting because
Yeah.
I don't understand how you in denial when you are the voice for your child. The longer you in denial, that's the longer your child not getting services. The longer you in
Mhm.
denial, your child is not getting prepared to become an independent individual, because
Yeah.
my goal is for my son to be independent, you
Mhm.
know. So, and
I
he's 4.
totally agree.
Thank you. He's 4, and I promise you, by the time I pass, I plan to leave him a large amount of money. Like a lot of people ask me, when you die, are you gonna leave the Zachariah brand to your son? I said, actually, if he's capable and he's ready and he want to take over, he can. If he want to write a book, I'm gonna help him,
Yeah.
because my goal is for him to be independent. Because I can't work full time like I being a special needs parent. I don't think people realize we have to sacrifice so much to provide
Yes.
for my kids. And for me
Yes.
personally, I can't work full time. It's
Yeah.
no such thing as a full time income for me, because I have to make sure my son have services. He has ABA, he has speech, OT, and eventually he's gonna have feeding therapy. He has all these therapies that we do during the week, 5 days a week. I don't have time to go to work. Like I don't have time to get a full-time job and make an income like everybody else. And luckily my parents are a blessing to let me stay with them as I save and save and save and save, because I couldn't financially afford to live on my own because my son has so many services.
Yeah. I love how you said that, because so many people, like of the parents I know,
Mm-hmm.
one of them is a stay-home parent out of them. And it might be that they work from home. Like I do know somebody who does a home daycare. So she's still bringing in an income, but working from home. I've had to change what I do. I work from home, but there's always that component of being at home with your kids so that you can take them to all of these therapies. Or for us, it was a lot of
Yes.
doctor's appointments, tons and tons of doctor's appointments and meltdowns. So when you were talking, I just had like flashbacks to when we were first getting the diagnosis for him. Like I said, he was 8 when he finally got the proper diagnosis, because they tried all sorts of other ones first. And I was constantly being called at work. So I was working, like I said, as an employment counselor. I was attempting to work full-time hours because I had been up to that point ish. And luckily, my father-in-law, he works shift work, so he was really helpful a lot of times and stuff. But it was as he, sorry, I always mess that up. I'm still working on it. As he got older, the meltdowns became more significant. And when I say meltdowns, we are full blown violent meltdowns, the kind of ones that people don't like to talk about. And the school would call and say, hey, somebody's got to come pick him up. We can't handle him right now. They refused to give him an EA, one-on-one EA, because his intelligence was at the regular level of the rest of the kids in the class.
He didn't get an IEP. And I want to stop you right there. I want to say I love the point that you acknowledging your child and raising your child, raising him in an environment that's loving, because the world is not going to understand that this is what that person was born with, and now this person what it is. So I want to acknowledge that at least
Yeah.
you were trying to understand your child and support your child. But your child didn't get an IEP because
So I'm in Canada. So he does have an IEP, but they are IEPs, and then we have IPRCs. And I think the IPRCs are like your 504 type thing.
you have a 504.
Yeah. So we have IPRC. And the IEP is like a guideline unless they also have an IPRC. Once they have the IPRC, then you have to follow the IEP. Weird. But before the diagnosis, when they first diagnosed him with ADHD, that doesn't classify as one of the things that you can get an IPRC for.
In Canada. In America, you can.
Yes, in Canada. I'm talking all from Canada.
Okay.
And so once we finally got the autism, then he got the IPRC with the autism in there. But up to that point, he didn't have the diagnosis that would allow the school to, and I shouldn't say allow the school, because they can designate the funds the way that they choose. But the school wasn't choosing to designate an EA just to him. However, there was constantly an EA being pulled away from another kid to deal with my son because he needed it. They just were refusing to do it. So it was a really big struggle. I was constantly leaving work. And eventually it came to the point that I went to part-time hours. I had also taken off leave just for my own mental state because of everything going on. Mm-hmm. And then eventually I just didn't go back, and I said, I gotta do something else. So now I work from home. I write
People
books.
don't realize that us as parents, we go through a lot mentally, and it's so hard to like. And what's crazy? Nobody has never once seen me vent on my social media when I have hard days on my son.
Yeah, I don't tend to do that either.
I don't. I just color and paint, and or I take him somewhere like to trampoline park. He can get out all his little energy and I be frustrated. And I'm like, I'm just over it. And people don't realize what we go through. So I want to commend you for even realizing, okay, I need to take a mental break and I need to focus on my son. So I wanted to at least say that to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're
So
welcome. It's a village. We have to support each other.
it
And
is.
it's not about race. It's always about accepting each other and just being a true advocate. Hi. Is being a true advocate for our kids. And a lot of people don't get that.
When did your son actually get diagnosed?
When he was diagnosed when he was 2,
Okay.
and I gave myself 2 days to cry. That was the weekend, and I will not cry to get over what I thought and dive in head first and be a true advocate for my son. So after I realized he had autism, them 2 days, that was Saturday and Sunday, because he was diagnosed on a Thursday, I think. And that Monday, I started calling for services. I started getting ABA. I started getting speech. I was not playing. And that was October 10th, 2019.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
So services, this is so interesting to me because I haven't really talked to somebody in the States about how it works for them. So this is really cool because I just know how it works for us. And we have like wait lists upon wait lists upon wait lists.
We have same thing here. So the best one here is Market Center, and it was like a 6 months year waiting list. But by the grace of God, he got in really quick. Like I want to say 4 months he got in, and
Even a year is short for hearing from Canada.
everything here is a wait list. Everything.
No, but we have like years, like 3 to 6 years.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We don't have that. And I'm happy to hear that. Well, for us,
Yeah, for you, that's fantastic.
I hope that they've changed that in Canada. But the speech, he just got into speech, I want to say about 3 months ago. Before he was diagnosed, he was already had speech. His speech therapist was I'm not gonna bash her on any of my interviews, but it was like, okay. It was okay. He had only improved 5% in 6 months. And for me, that means something didn't happen because 5% to me is like 0%. But I ever since then I've been looking for 2 years. I've been looking for a speech therapist and I couldn't find one, and I finally got one. I think they're an okay team. I'm still learning them and paying attention. I put him. I don't know about in Canada, but in over here in Georgia, I live in Atlanta, Georgia. They have special needs pre-K. So once he was diagnosed, I put him in a program in Georgia called Babies Can't Wait. So with the program Babies Can't Wait, I put him into school. So I end up contacting APS. I had a whole thing happen, but mind you, this all happened. This is February 2020 now.
Everything happens
So
fast.
so by this point, COVID's about to happen. The world don't know. So the APS had a deadline to get back to me, but COVID happened. So they waited and waited. They never contacted me. So what I did, being the parent that I am, I contacted them with this nice little email. I'm very good with emails, and they got back with me the next day, and I got the ball running. I got him into school September uh last year, the end of September last year,
Okay.
and he was in special needs pre-K.
That's fantastic. Because we got diagnosed so late, I don't know, but I have not heard of a special needs pre-K here in Canada. What we do have though is it's called social strategies classes, and it's not.
Is it putting them into public school at 3 years old?
Well, we go into our regular kindergarten at 4.
Oh, so here we go to kindergarten at 5. So
We
at
have 2
3,
kindergartens.
oh, so we have pre-K. So pre-K is 4, but since he has an IEP and he's special needs, it's 3.
Okay,
So
yeah.
he's been
That's
in
very
there.
cool.
Yeah, I think so too. Like his teacher has been awesome. I love his teacher. When I tell you I love his teacher, she is not playing. It may be virtual and it's virtual learning,
Yeah.
but I love the fact that she makes sure that we meeting his goals and his targets. And if I
Yeah.
have a problem with his IEP, I amend it. A lot of parents don't know you can amend the IEP
Oh yeah.
anytime. You don't
Even
have
in
to wait.
Canada.
You don't have to wait until the end of the year for a review. No, I'm going to amend it now. I don't see something is not working. And God has blessed me with a great ABA team who helps me go over the IEP, because my goal
Good.
is not for my son to be neurotypical. My goal is for him to accomplish the goals and get to where his peers are. That is my goals.
I love the way that you said that because, yeah, my goal isn't really to change my son to
No.
make him fit in, but my goal is to make him be able to be successful in life.
Right. And you know what? When I do some interviews with people that are on the spectrum and they tell me they're not pro ABA, I find out why they're not pro ABA. It's because their parents or they have seen people do ABA and their goal is to make their kids neurotypical. Like, no, that's not my goal. Nobody would ever tell me that is my goal. That's not my goal. My goal
Yeah.
is for my son to be who he is, because I think my son is an awesome kid and I'm never going to change who he is.
Yeah. No, I love the way that you said that. And
Thank
we
you.
did ABA a little bit, and um, they did actually a parent training of ABA, and I had actually went to school for psychology before, so I knew a little bit about it. It's not like I'm a behavioral therapist or anything like that. And it works. It worked a little bit for my son,
Hmm.
but psychologists, like the deeper emotional identification, is what he needed more of. So I'm pro whatever works for your kid. Like
Right.
ABA works for most of them, but it doesn't work for all of them. And that's
It
fine.
don't. And that's okay. And when I
Yeah.
say I'm pro ABA, I have seen I'm in a lot of groups that are with ran by people on the spectrum, and I support them because I think their voices should be heard, because I am neurotypical and my goal is to support people on the spectrum, right? I mean spectrum, right? But I listen to them, and but I don't judge. I'm not going to say, "Oh, you in the wrong cuz you support the puzzle. You in the wrong cuz you support this. You in the wrong cuz you support autism speak." No, everybody in this world is different. We all have different views, different stands, different everything. So, of course, I may love the color pink. You may love the color blue. But because I like pink and you like blue, to mean you're wrong?
Yeah,
No,
no.
it doesn't. And I feel that I support everybody's decision. Whatever you support, what you support. What works best for your family, what best for your family. Now, if you do have trauma within ABA because something was happened to you, advocate for it and
Yeah.
try to change whatever's wrong. Whatever you feel is wrong, whatever you feel is wrong in ABA, then you do that. But me personally, what I have experienced with me and my son, she's not teaching my son how to math. We go over targets that the IEP has. Is a lot of things we work on sensory things that he should not do. Now we're not trying to stop him from stimming.
But there's some unhealthy ones.
It is some unhelpful. Like my son like to hit.
Yeah. Mine's
And
picking right now.
no, hit.
No, no, I'm saying mine. Mine is
Oh,
picking.
picking. My son like to hit. So with the hitting, that is not healthy because everybody not gonna know he has autism, and they probably think he's trying to fight or be aggressive,
And
and
as he gets older,
it'll get worse. And he is a black kid, and
oh
eventually he will be a
yeah.
black man. So because
Yeah.
I know what society, how they look at black people and black men and
It's
women,
so sad.
that's something stemming that I have to address at 4,
Yeah.
because I don't need to address it at 16, and I'm now burying my child because you thought he was being aggressive because he's a black man. So
Yeah.
it's that, so a lot of people look at certain things differently, and
Yeah.
everybody know my stance.
Yeah.
Stemming of him hitting, that is something that we're working on that need to be addressed.
Yes. That definitely needs to be addressed. And um, so my son didn't stim that way, but like I was saying, the violent meltdowns.
Hmm.
Well, the violent meltdowns were throwing stuff, hitting. I've been chased with a hammer. There's holes in my door from him like hitting it. I've been tried to be pushed into the street when I'm trying to stop him from running in front of cars. Um, I've had him have scissors where I'm trying to stay away because I don't
Because
want to
they
get
unaware of
stabbed.
danger. I understand. I
Yeah,
understand. I haven't experienced that yet. But I know I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
I know what you're talking about. Oh, I told you, autism is one word, 1 million different stories.
yes.
When I say that, people look at me like, "That's deep." It is deep.
It
Think about
is
it.
deep because it's true. It's
Like,
100% true.
yep, my story and your story are two different stories. Like right now, he's 4, so I'm going in head first, learning. I mean, I found out when he was 2, So I feel like I have a advantage more than other people because I'm learning and I'm advocating, but I'm learning. I'm learning about the resources out here in America. Like we have Katie Beckett. It's so many resources out here, but you don't know about them if you don't talk about it. And the more
Yeah.
I talk about him being on the spectrum, be like, oh girl, let me tell you about this waiver that you can get. But the waiver is like a 10-year waiting list. But I'm putting him on it though because he's 4, so it doesn't matter. So I'm just on here just learning, like, and
Yeah.
yeah, me being an advocate, I have to tell you, is the best thing. It became my purpose. Like every time I sell a coloring book, I feel that I'm one book away from raising more awareness or somebody else understanding it in a very fun way.
Mhm.
So
I
yes,
love that
thank
so
you.
much. And talking about, making wanting to make our kids independent, and you're talking about coloring books actually. So my son is an artist. He runs his own business. I'll have to send you a link just so you can check out his stuff. But one of the first things that we did was, well, we were raising money for his service dog when he was 9, and we took some of the pieces that he was working on and turned it into a coloring book. Yeah. It's no longer available anywhere because at the time I didn't know that Amazon did this print on demand and stuff. Plus, the art that he had when he was 9, he would not want me to resell now because, Mom, I'm so much better now.
But
Okay.
it's not about that. It's about the growth.
Oh, I know. So for me, I look at it, go, that's amazing. But for him, and it's his business, so he gets, a say on what I post and what I don't post. But that was one of the very first things that we did was turn his stuff into coloring books to sell. So I love the fact that it's a coloring book.
Thank you. But you know what's so funny? This is actually a children's book too. But that comes out in 3 weeks.
Love it.
When I tell you that I never imagined me being a coloring book creator because I can't draw. But because I do the activities, I did 20% of work in my book. Like if my artist didn't do the whole book, I did some of it too. And I
Oh,
would
that's
never
good.
imagine that I would be a children's book author because my book I think is pretty dope. I had to water it down a little bit because I wanted to put so much in the first book, and I realized I can write multiple of these
Yeah.
and educate. But mine's, I mean, I don't like telling people it's on Amazon because I make hardly no profit on Amazon.
Yeah.
So I always tell people to go to my website, which is zachariahworld.com, and I will ship it to you. And I just prefer people to go to Amazon to write the review. But
That's right.
if anybody watching and or listening and you in America or Canada, I don't have any resources. Maybe you guys can give me some resources if I put my website. But you just go to zachariahworld.com, and then it's for resources, and I have a whole resource list that is
Well, that's fabulous.
yes, I have a resource list for America. But if you send me some stuff for Canada, I will add it on there.
All right. So and you talked about when you got the diagnosis and you
Mm.
cried for a couple of days. So how did you get yourself out of that sort of grieving, I guess is the best word, mode?
I'm not gonna say I grieved. I'm gonna say those 2 days, I just had to get out what I thought my son would be. I had to like shed my reality of what I thought, like I said, what I thought he was gonna grow up to be, and all of that. So in them 2 days, I just came to terms with it. I wasn't in denial long. I gave myself and I might would say that was a denial phase. I just gave myself time to, okay, my son has autism. Where do I go from here? Because I didn't know anything about autism. I didn't know about services. It was just so much information handed to me. And when he was diagnosed, I just looked at him like it was crazy. Like, where do I go from here? And it was I was overwhelmed in them 2 days.
Yeah.
It was very overwhelming. So once I got over that Monday, I started calling ABA their companies. I started putting him on their wait list. Some people had 6 months, some people had 7 months, some people had a year, and I was just calling and calling and calling and calling until I found the therapist team he has now.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much what I did. I didn't give myself time to just be in my feelings because why I'm in my feelings, that's my child, that's his life. And I'm the parent and I need to be a role model and make sure that he gets what he needs to be independent. That was just my mindset. And I know I meet a lot of parents and that's not their mindset. I met one lady. I know her actually. I hope she don't mind me telling her story, but she told me it took her 6 months. And she asked me, she said, "How long did you know your son was diagnosed?" I said, we found out, she found out before me. And I said, "Oh, you found out in April 2019?" I said, "Why don't have services now?" And she said, I had to, I was in denial. I was like, "Oh."
Oh,
I said, "No, that wasn't me." Because I knew that my son, I'm his voice.
mhm.
And once he started well, he communicate because now he has a voice of his own. Well, not vocally. He
Yeah.
communicate through. I don't even have anything to show it. Pets, and
Okay. Yeah.
I asked him, "Do he want something?" He brings it. He brings me the word.
Yeah.
So I'm his voice, like vocally. But
Vocally.
yes, 2 days. That it was either 2 or 3 days. But
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not looking at the calendar.
Yeah, we kind of suspected something for a long time because, like I said, diagnosed so late. So for us, it was more of a relief than anything else. It was like, yes, finally an answer, as opposed to, oh, I'm so sad that this has happened or overwhelmed. It was more like, I can go and get services now because I was so overwhelmed before for me because, like I said, with 8 years old, so it took forever.
Think about it. Once you find out your child have autism, all you have to do is start looking for services and getting your child prepared for their
Yeah,
future. It's
exactly.
where to me it's not a big deal, but I can't speak for every other parent
Yeah,
because when I talk to some parents, they just be so in denial. I just don't. I just be like,
yeah. I
that's
feel
not
like
me.
I feel like there's a simplicity in what needs to be done, but it's not a simple road to do it
No,
necessarily.
no, no. It wasn't simple for me. I just have my auntie it was a special needs teacher, and she drilled in my head that I'm his advocate.
Mhm.
And she kept drilling it in my head because at this when he was 2 he wasn't talking, and she said, "Well, you his advocate, and this is before he was diagnosed, and you need to make sure you getting his services together." And she kept drilling this in my head,
Yeah.
and this is before he was diagnosed. So by the time he was diagnosed, I already knew I was his advocate because my auntie made it very clear that I
Yeah.
was his advocate. And she'll even tell you, like, she proud of me because she kept drilling that in my head. And I wasn't in denial because we didn't know he had autism. I just was trying to get him speech services because he was not talking.
Yeah.
And he was 2 years old. So I knew that it was a delay, but I didn't talk until I was 3 or 4. So I was
Yeah.
thinking at one point, he just not going to talk until he's 4 because I didn't talk until I was 4.
Yeah.
But here we are at 4 and he still
And
doesn't
now
talk.
and now you just never shut up. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, I'd never shut up. Now my mama say that.
It's
She
a
said we
mom
gonna talk
thing.
because my sister didn't talk like that. My brother, my nieces. So it's always been a speech delay in my family.
Mhm.
So we was all assuming it was that
Yeah.
until I took this test. I wish I remember. Everybody was asking me. It was a red flag test on Google, and he
Yeah.
had 14 red flags for autism. And that's when I said, "Oh well, let me go ahead and try to get him set up for an appointment."
Yeah.
But
That's
you
good.
said Canada have 3-year waiting lists. No, we have just 6 months or a year.
Yeah, no, it can be a very, very long wait to get to a doctor that will actually give a diagnosis and then to get to any kind of therapies. It's pretty insane at times.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
And so I know firsthand that being a caregiver for somebody with special needs it's hard mentally for yourself to every day, and as much as you love them and you want to do what's best for them and you know you need to do what's best for them, how do you take care of yourself to make sure that you are there for them?
I love that question. I used to do dance class before COVID,
Oh,
but
cool.
since COVID, I have not been doing dance class. So now I find I paint with him. That's my therapeutic thing. I love to paint and color now since COVID,
Good.
since I'm not comfortable with stepping into a dance class as of yet,
Yeah.
because dance is very intimate. You dance with I call them my dance sisters. You dance with your dance sisters. You touch your dance sisters. You have a good time.
Yeah.
We're a very huggy dance community.
Yeah.
So because I do burlesque, so I haven't
Oh,
been
nice.
comfortable. Right, I haven't been comfortable with.
I've done a couple pole dance lessons.
I do pole classes too, but I haven't been
Oh,
comfortable to go back.
so much fun.
Isn't
I
it?
I have a pole in my basement. It's
That's the
like
best self care for me is pole class and burlesque. But
so much fun.
COVID ruined that for me. So I would say my self care is painting and coloring.
Yeah. That is fantastic. And I always ask everybody this question. I always change it up a little bit to suit the situation, but what would you tell somebody who's listening right now and they're struggling with their child and they're not really sure what to do?
They're struggling. Okay, well, in that question, do they think their child's on the spectrum, or they think their child
They have
knows
no
something?
idea. They just know that something is not the same as other children.
Okay, well, my advice to them is, as a parent, you know your child. So if you feel that your child need to go to the doctor and get diagnosed or official diagnosed, well, you need to advocate for that. You need to talk to your child pediatrician. You need to figure out, okay, my child is doing AYZ, going with an action plan, but like, okay, my child is doing this, that. But I also think my child have autism. What are the next steps that we can take for we can go start getting him tested? Or what are some services we can start as of right now that are free that I can get for my child right now? So it's all about you just being a voice for your child and figuring out what's best for them, and make sure you're speaking to your child doctor. That's what I did, and it was the best decision. So
I love that answer. And
thank
I
you.
know that you've quickly mentioned where to get the coloring book and the soon to be released kids books, but tell us again so that we
Okay.
know.
You can go to zachariahworld.com and you can buy the coloring book, the children's book, and also have an autism awareness clothing line. And you have
Oh,
games on there that your kids can play with. We have puzzle games on there. We also have puzzles you can buy. I have online games on there. It just go on there. It's a whole bunch of things on there. I have
that's
freebies.
cool.
I have an IEP free folder. There's a lot of freebies on there. So even if you
Love
can't
it.
support me and buy the coloring book, you have a one free coloring page on there on the
Ooh,
zachariahworld.com. It's a whole bunch of freebies, like I said. And you can
cool.
print it, color it, and if you love it, tag me. All of that. I love it. So I have
Awesome.
freebies.
And where can people follow you on social media?
So my social media handle is very, very simple. It's I am Crystal Jordan on Instagram. It's Zachariah World on Instagram. Twitter, I think is I am C Jordan, but you can find me very easily. It's just my name, Crystal Jordan. So
Wonderful.
no, thank
So
you.
all of those links will be down in the description below so that you can find Crystal, follow her, check out that website. Sounds like so much fun and excitement on that website. I gotta go head over there and check it out.
Thank you. The puzzles, I love the point that the reason I created the puzzles and the games. Remember when we used the keys to go on the website just to play games?
Yes.
That was my thought process when I created Zachariah World. I wanted kids on the spectrum to feel like they can come to here and it's a safe place and they can still
Oh
play
yeah.
games and things like that.
I
And
love it.
that was the vision behind putting the games on there. So
I love it. Thank you so very much for being on the show.
no, thank you for having me. And for the moms, I also have a mom planner for the moms. And the mom
Ooh,
planner is for us moms. So if you have too much going on, you can just jot it down. It's digital. The print copy is not available as of yet. But by the
but it's
time
coming.
it's gonna come. I just have to figure out um two things before I announced it. But
Mm,
it's on Zachariah World right now until I move it to another brand
yeah.
eventually. So
Very cool. That's so awesome.
thank you.
All right. I told you it was a little bit more near and dear to my heart because it's about my baby, or rather, all children and, well, all people with autism. So be sure to check out her links down below, give her a follow, check out that coloring book. Very cool. Stay up to date with all of the new things that she is going to be releasing because she's got some really exciting and amazing products coming out in the future. And autism awareness, just like mental health awareness, is so, so important. Um, of course, we do have our merch store. Get that out of the way. This is one of the shirts, my favorite so far. And 10% of the proceeds from the merch store goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. Remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly